Morning everybody, it's Donna from Enchanted. I'm just going to bring you back to my young oak that forms part of the hedge here, because I've done a previous post on it. So can you see beautiful healthy young acorns that have been produced? And if you think back to the old video here, this is what I showed you, I think it was early in the year when it was still cold, and this has matured obviously, and it's now full of holes. So this turned out to be a parasitic micro wasp, a tiny little wasp, a gall wasp. And this turns out to be the oak marble gall wasp. As you can see, they've now all hatched out and wandered off. Now, something else has happened to my beautiful little young oak. So, can you see this, which is truly wonderful? And how interesting is that? It is slightly sticky. It seems to be secreting a little bit of sticky, but can you see that whilst the wasp has penetrated what would have been this acorn, it hasn't penetrated that acorn. And this is another take on it. Can you see how this one has developed a little bit, but it's got a very funny collar? Isn't it beautiful? The thing that I've just showed you is called the Knopper gall moth. I think you say it Knopper, it's Knopper. From what I can find online, none of these tiny parasitic wasps hurt, upset or kill any of the species that they go to. They're very common on trees, native trees, sweet chestnut, beech, oak, and they don't seem to cause any harm. So there is no control. There is no, I don't like this on my tree in my garden or on my shrub in my garden. This is not something that needs a solution. You don't need to do anything. You just need to be aware of it, observe it, show your grandchildren, your children, your family, your friends, other gardeners, and just know that nature's thriving because you can observe these wonderful little species. There are quite a few. I've got a list that are just on oaks. So I've shown you the oak marble gall wasp. There's an oak apple gall wasp. There's an oak artichoke gall wasp, which sounds interesting. We've got a common spangle gall wasp, a smooth spangle gall wasp, a silk button gall wasp, and an oak cherry gall wasp. So just on an oak, as well as an oak being able to support over 2,000 species of insects on one single mature oak, we shouldn't be cutting any down. We also realise that all of the gall wasps are supported as well, and they may not be pollinators or our favourite part of Mother Nature, but they are in existence. They are part of Mother Nature and the diversity of species within that. So that's that. So now I'm going to show you something that could possibly be in your gardens from time to time, and that is Robin's pincushion gall. Now this is only present on roses, mainly species roses or wild roses. So this has popped up in the front garden. Now, it's fascinating. It feels quite hard, and can you see it's like moss, and it's got a new leaf kind of poking out of the top. I mean, it's just fabulous. Now this is on a little wild dog rose that's popped up, but this will also apply to any of the roses that we have in our gardens that are very closely related to the species roses, which are tend to be single roses and not the cabbages. So this little wasp lays its eggs in the buds or developing leaves during midsummer, and the eggs hatch, and these little larvae start to secrete a chemical, and it causes the reaction of the rose or the oak or anything else that they're in. The reaction of the secretion of these larvae means that this is how the plant host responds. It's really quirky thing to happen. So instead of developing into normal leaves, these become moss-like, and then presumably it's this time of year in August that these fully develop, with the little chaps inside feeding away, and then they emerge and do it again to another rose. But these are the gall wasp seems quite selective in that this rose gall moth, Robin's pincushion gall, won't now go into my oak tree to do the same, because it can only do this on a rose, on a species rose. So this is just showing us that Mother Nature is quite selective. She seems to organise it, you know, very, very specifically. And this is why it's so complex. I never think that we actually know what we're doing because of the complexity of the support system, the food system, the predation of host plants. Do we really understand it? I don't think so. I don't think many gardeners will have come across gall wasp damage within their plants, and what that's showing is that gall wasps appear to be much more able to populate a more natural plant. So maybe with all the hybrid genetic modifications on the plants that are sold in garden centres and nurseries, species of gall moths are unable to develop. I'm not a qualified gall wasp person, so if there's anyone out there and your speciality is gall moths, it would be wonderful to hear from you. And perhaps you could all help us all out by showing us why this happens, how this happens, and just the beauty of this part of nature. Thanks for listening. Take care. Bye bye.